Well, it's very possible that it will, but this is a memorandum of understanding which both sides can change at any time. There's no legally binding commitment. Nothing has been signed, and there's no agreement that money has to be spent, and nothing legally binding. And it raises more questions. It raises a lot of questions, such as what will the UK alter its commitment to EU regulations for American firms? And the UK now has a requirement, or is considering a requirement, that any firms operating in the UK will have to abide by the Paris Agreement. Will it change that for Google, NVIDIA, OpenAI, and other companies that have been listed as investing in the UK? So I think there are a lot of details to be worked out, and this is not cut in stone.
You know, Tim, my dad always said, son, a closed fist doesn't give nor receive, but an open palm actually creates opportunities. And that's what we're seeing right here between the two countries. Now, the thing is, when there is a roadway for players, if you will, companies on both sides of the pond to actually get on that highway, economic activity actually occurs, and that benefits both sides. That's the way I see it. What say you?
You're exactly right. It's extraordinary to see a left-wing leader, when the Labor Party is on the left, and a conservative president, President Trump. They clearly have a good relationship. They like each other. They want to work together. They both understand the historical significance of the English and American relationship to each country and to the economies. I think this is a significant day. If assuming the deals go through, which I think they probably will, it gives American tech companies, Salesforce, Google, Microsoft, the dominant pole position in a crucial economy like the United Kingdom. Also, there's a nuclear component here. You know, Britain has a really terrible energy situation. Their energy is so expensive because of their radical environmental policies. They pay double, triple what American businesses pay. They're going to put in a dozen or so nuclear reactors, assuming this goes through. That's a big step as well. And hopefully it will change some of the UK's adherence to some of these intrusive European regulations that harms the prosperity of the United Kingdom. So I actually do think this is a big day. There are a lot of details to be worked out, but the American leadership was there on the business side and certainly on President Trump's side, and Starmer is taking a big chance working closely with Trump. Because of his own political base. But I think this is good for both of them, and certainly it's good for our two countries.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, also making headlines this week, the Federal Reserve finally cutting interest rates. The effects most likely will be gradual. We heard from Jerome Powell about what's going to occur in the future. But who benefits the most from this move, Diana?
Well, I think that it's going to be really important to see what happens to the economy and what happens to inflation. Is this going to help economic growth, or is it going to drive inflation higher? And this is going to be something everybody is going to watch, because the Fed's target for inflation is 2%, but we don't have that yet. We are not at that yet. And it's interesting that the Fed has priced in 2 more rate reductions over the year. And it's also interesting that the Fed's outlook for economic growth is relatively low over the next 3 years. So the Fed's models look like they are not accounting for the reduction in regulations under President Trump or the advantage of the permanent new tax rates that are going to take place on January 1st.
Well, artificial intelligence also top of mind during the Trump-Starmer business talks yesterday. The president saying he hopes the AI bosses know what they're doing. And, you know, Tim, how has AI changed the global landscape when it comes to technology? Because many people say that digital currency, AI, they're both part of our future. And those countries that fall further behind, lack investment early on, actually won't be players on the global stage. What say you?
Yeah, artificial intelligence is already dramatically impacting the way we live something as simple as a search engine now. It's different. A lot of it just goes straight to AI and it pops up. So instead of you clicking on links and choosing which links you want, it simply gives you a summation of all that. So it's changing one of the most basic features of modern life. Also, I think for entry level folks, young people, it's really impacting them, especially in some of the white collar professions. And we see that with youth unemployment going up, even among those with college degrees. That is partly a result already of AI. And within a few years, driverless cars will be a far more prevalent form, especially for things like Uber and Lyft and things like that. So it is already dramatically changing the economy, changing the way we live, and it's only going to accelerate. Yes, there are some dangers. There's no question about that. However, the United States has a dominant position right now. We're challenged by China, no question about that. But we've got to keep that from a geopolitical perspective and an economic military perspective. So it's vital that we compete here, that we have the energy to do that. Thank goodness the Trump energy policies are freeing up American energy to keep growing, because we have to win this race. It's a big one.
Yeah, and the previous administration didn't really want to deal with AI, and now, of course, AI is front and center, given the fact that China and Russia and all of our adversaries are making a big push towards this. It's also affecting the job market, Diana. Basically, every earnings report, they always have that future outlook talking about AI, how they're implementing it. Can you elaborate a bit more on AI in the workplace and how it's shifting jobs?
Sure. AI is having an effect in the workplace. It's helping some people with language-based jobs, because if their English isn't great, they can put something in AI and it comes out better. And then it's adversely affecting those for whom AI is a substitute for their jobs, like junior computer programmers. But the job market hasn't done so well over the past 3 months. It was doing really great the first 3 months of the year. The last 3 months, it's really slowed down. And we'll have to see if the Fed's interest rate cuts help it go up again. There's also a certain amount of uncertainty over the tariffs, which is adversely affecting employers and businesses' decisions. They don't know what prices are going to be next month or the month after or in 2026. And when that is decided, when there's more certainty over the tariffs, then I think that's going to improve prospects for job growth.
Tim, I think this really comes down to strategy and innovation. When you look at Apple, they introduced the new AirPods, where it can actually listen in one language and actually interpret in the language in which you speak. That is dynamic. Why? Because when more people understand and they want to actually go to spend money, but need to know where to go, that actually helps. This is just a small example of how AI can actually spur more consumption, more intel for businesses to provide the right products and the right services to people who want them. That is a huge job creation opportunity. What say you?
It is that the new AirPods. I'm looking forward to getting my own pair. I do a lot of international work at Nestpoint, and what an incredible opportunity that provides for folks like me. And there's tens upon tens of millions of people around the world who will find that kind of tool useful. We're in a stage of innovation that's exciting to see. It's also impacting the defense industry. There are literally thousands of new American defense companies popping up. And this administration, to their credit, is not just saying, "Hey, we've got the 4 or 5 behemoths, the big ones, the big boys who dominate most of the military spending." They're great, by the way, and we want them to continue being there. But we need innovation on things like AI and drone. And this administration is pivoting, and there are literally, I see them every day as I travel this country. There's a whole new generation of small startups, smaller companies that are innovating at the tip of the spear. And it's exciting to see. We're at a point where, thankfully, the best engineers are no longer just doing the next app that'll be cool to put on Instagram. I mean, good for them. We're in a place where the best engineers a lot of times are going into space work and aerodynamics and defense, and
Right.
and it's having an impact, a
Yeah.
good impact.
Yes.
Yeah, sure is.